Good morning, and welcome to part 3 of the Unreal Engine modding series called The Basics of Unreal Engine for Modding. In today's video, we are going to talk about the topic pack patch modding, which is when you make a pack archive that patches an original existing archive. Now, if you look in front of you, I will have a picture on the screen, and on the top to the left there, you'll see a graphical explanation, basically, of a container of our pack, so the game's original pack file, which is called pack chunk 0 uh, dash or hyphen, I guess, Windows no editor dot pack. Inside of that pack, we have a path that I made up here called game folder and then file.uasset. Right. If you look at the bottom of the same picture here at the bottom, you'll see the patch pack file. And the patch pack file's file name is packchunk0 dash Windows no editor underscore capital P dot pack. Right. Now, if you look at that underscore P there at the end of the file name, this tells the game to prioritize the files inside of this pack over the ones inside of the pack with the same name, but without the underscore P. So that the result of this is that this file in game folder file.uasset in the patch pack file will load instead of the top file. So now how does this work? So let's go over to the right hand side of this picture, and I will read this chunk of text here for you. So if a file exists inside the game's original pack archive, we can mod that file by making our own pack archive with a file of the same file type from the same engine version with the same folder location and with the same file name. Right, so it's just like loose file modding, but inside of a pack. Right, let's go on. Unreal Engine 4 has a part of the mount function that tells the game to set priority to a pack that ends with underscore P. So if a pack with the same name as the underscore P pack file exists, but without underscore P, our mod or our mod patch will take priority over the files that exist inside the original pack. So we're basically replacing them, but without actually replacing them. And this is why it's called a mod pack patch. Right. So why would we use pack patches? Well, there's only two really good reasons to use mod pack patches, and that is because we can use zlib compression to get much smaller file sizes for larger collections of like files, mod collections, or custom maps. Number two is that our mods will load much faster due to how loading files from like a mounted archive with a TOC, which is a table of contents, is much faster than just straight up loading those same files using their file name from like a disk location. So the conclusion becomes that we get smaller file sizes and we get faster load times. And why wouldn't we or why shouldn't we use packs for modding? And there are two major points here. There are more, I guess, but two major points. Number one is that because of how packs take time to open, extract, and repack, it becomes a tedious and a slower process to mod. And it can create kind of a feeling that the modding, like modding the game, is slow, tedious, and boring. And that is number one. It's more difficult to mod, I guess. Number two is that you can't quickly see what files hide inside of these mod packs that you're downloading. So it's harder to access like individual mods, individual files inside of them. And this makes it harder for a person to see if there is something malicious going on, or if you never know. Like somebody could do anything with these pack mods. um, but also, it makes it harder and slower to replace individual mods inside of like a mod collection that you downloaded. And once again, it limits the modding for, casual modders who they don't know better, so they just download and drop things in. And that's the problem, I think, that it creates kind of a no-think, drag and drop process that doesn't promote learning whatsoever. Um, it doesn't promote anything other than downloading and dragging and dropping mods, and that's not what I'm about. So, but I'm still going to teach you the methods. So let's go on to chapter 2, which is where we actually go over how this works and do the process. So yeah, let's go to chapter 2. So on to chapter 2, which is the tutorial part of the video. Now, in this chapter, we will go through 4 steps. Step 1 is going to be setting up the mod pack folder properly. Step 2 is going to be to cook our mod, in this case our material instance that we made in the second part of this tutorial series. And step 3 is going to be to package and compress our mod. And step 4 will be to test our mod to see if it works. Okay, so let's start by setting up the mod pack folders properly. Okay, so let's do that now. In here, I have UnrealPak, and this version, these batch files here, and this version of UnrealPak was found by a community member. I will put up his name on the screen here. I don't remember it right now, but yeah, I'll put it on the screen. And what it does is it seems to work with every version of Unreal Engine. So that's awesome. So we're lucky here. Right, so let me show you how to set up the mod pack folders. Now, first of all, just make a folder. You can call it mod for now. We will change that later. Now, inside of our mod folder, we need to put the project name folder. All right, and as you remember, project name is this. So if you go to the root folder of your game, you have this small exe here, you have the engine folder and the project name folder. So this is called session game. So let's go back into UnrealPak and mod. Let's make a folder here called session game. Inside of session game, you want to put the content folder. So you want to put content, just like that. So now you have your mod pack, you have the session game root, you have content, and then in here is where we are going to put our mods. Right. Now, first, we need to rename this. So mod needs to actually be called, to make a mod, a patch mod or a mod patch pack, it needs to have a certain type of file name, which we went through in the beginning of this video, which is it needs to have the same file name as the pack we are modding, that has basically the file that we are modding, and then it needs to have underscore capital P at the end. So let's go into content, packs, and our game. In this game, we only have one pack. So we know that our file exists in this pack. So we're going to copy the file name. We're going to go back in here, and we're going to call this the same thing. Pack chunk 0 dash Windows no editor, and then underscore capital P. This is how it needs to look. This is a patch mod now. Now on to the next part, because now we're done with the folders here. Right, so let's go into Unreal Engine. So as you remember, we made this material instance and material. And now we want to cook that like we did in the last video. I'll go through it again. You go down here, you go down and you go to cook content for Windows. Right, so now we're cooking our mod here that we've made. And it'll take a few seconds here and then it'll tell us when it's done. There we go. Now, to find this, you need to go to your Unreal Documents, Unreal Projects, your project name, which in this case is Session Game, then Saved, Cooked, Windows No Editor, Session Game, Content, and then here we have the character folder with our mod in it. So we're going to copy that, and we are going to go in here into the content folder, and we're going to paste it. So now we have our modded files right in here. Okay, so now how do we cook this? Or how do we package it into a pack file? Well, what we want to do is we want to do this with compression to get a smaller file size. In this case, it's a ridiculously small file size already, so it doesn't really matter. But I will show you an example later. After this step, I will show you an example of how you can do this with compression with like with custom maps, for instance. But for now, we're still going to do compression just because. So all you have to do is drag this folder onto UnrealPak with compression, let it go through the steps here, and it's already done. We just press OK, and we are left with this pack. So as you can see, the file size of that is basically only 1/3. So that's awesome. So now that we have this pack here, you want to take this pack and you want to copy it, so Control C, into your packs folder. Okay? So this, when you launch the game now, by the way, to do this with a game, so Session normally has a .sig file, as we know. Session in most games have a .sig file, and to mod a game with a .sig file, there are multiple methods, but there, which is where you can just copy paste the original sig for the first for the pack that you make the patch mod. You copy that sig and you just put underscore p at the end of it, and you have like a copy, and it's still going to load it then. But what we will be doing is we will be utilizing the Unreal Mod Unlocker Pro feature, that is the .sig unlocker. So I have that enabled. To enable that, you go to binaries, you go to Unreal Mod Unlocker settings. I'm going to pull the settings in here, and you do .sig unlocker. If you have Unreal Mod Unlocker Pro, you just turn that to true and save. and that's it. Now, all we have to do now is test this out by launching the game. So let's do that. So let us launch the game, and let's see if this works. Just having a drink. Okay. This is the first time I'm launching the game since I restarted the computer, so I'm guessing it just takes longer because it has to precompile a bunch of shaders. Yep. Okay, so there we go. So now I forgot about one thing, and that is, let's go out and go in, because I already have this character mod as a loose file mod. So let's boot the game up without that, because right now we won't be able to see here if the mod is loading, because it'll load the other mod. And there we go. So our pack patch mod works as intended. Right. Oh, here is the seg file. I'm just going to pull that back in. Yeah, so as you can see, this patch mod here, it works. So that concludes this video. We went through each step, which was the first one we went through was we packaged our mod, we cooked, we set up the mod pack folders, we cooked our material instance, we packaged and compressed our mod, and we tested our mod, and it worked. Yeah, so that is the end of pack patch modding, and as you can see, we achieved the same end result with pack patch mods as we did with the loose file mods. So we got the exact same end result here. So that now you have two ways of making mods and distributing mods. The difference here is that packs, in my opinion, well, it's not an opinion, it is way harder to know just what's inside of them. It's harder to replace individual components inside of these packs. And honestly, unless you're making a custom map for a game, like a custom map or a ginormous mod, do not use pack mods. And yeah, don't use pack mods for anything but huge custom maps or huge collections of mods. Not even collections of mods. If you make a huge mod, like you have story and animations, and you have all this stuff, and it's like your own complete mod, then yeah, go ahead. But man, please don't use this for like releasing clothing or anything like that. It's not worth it. It is a hassle to deal with these. People don't know, they don't, because one patch is going to override another, and they wonder, oh my God, where did all my shoes go? Where did all these things go? And yeah, so stay away from these unless it's for big, huge mods or like custom apps. Okay, so let's go on to hybrid file loading, which is a concept that I came up with.
where you take a file, a U asset or a UMap, and you store all of the things that that file, the U asset, references. So all of the assets of, for instance, a map. You take all the reference, like all the actual assets, and put them into a pack, and then you take the UMap and put it into as a loose file. So then you get the accessibility. You get to see the EU asset or the and the UMap, and you can scan for them and travel to them with external tools and internal tools. So the way it works is like this. So I'm going to show you step by step. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack a few pack files here. So I'm going to unpack some custom maps. So let's do that. This might take a little while. I am not on my fast SSD here, so this is just on the hard drive. Okay, I think it's all unpacked. And then I want to drag and drop these out because that's how it's supposed to be. Custom maps is supposed to be inside of content. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to delete all of these three. And here we should have all three maps inside of custom maps, and we do. Okay. So next, we are going to use these files, and we're going to build a pack file, a compressed pack file out of them. So now we're going to make the hybrid pack here. So we're going to go to UnrealPak. We're going to go into our, we're going to go into content. We can delete this character here because we don't want to make this a patch pack. We want to make this a hybrid pack. So we're just going to copy and paste here the custom maps into content. This will take a little while, so I'm going to have a sip of water. Okay, now you want to go out into UnrealPak, and you want to actually call this, I'm going to call it GHFear custom map 1, for instance. So this is going to be what I want to call it, because now we're not making a patch mod. Now we're making its own individual pack file. This is just a pack file. So we will drop that onto UnrealPak with compression. Make sure it's with compression to get the benefits of the compression here. And this will take a while. It'll take about 2 minutes to compress and to package this up. So while we do that, we go back into content, and then we need to go into our custom maps folder. And here's the magic, right? Now I'm going to show you something. If you go to map here, you'll see the UMap is inside of that folder. If you open up UMap in a hex editor, you will see that this UMap is going to be referencing every other single file that is inside of this map. What that means is that if I were to launch this UMap, so let's open that again, actually. As you can see here, at the start of each file here that it references, it says game. And game is just the virtual path of content, and it represents both the loose file path, the file path in here, content, and the virtual content slash game path inside of a pack. So because of that, we can either have this as loose files, or even if this file, the UMap, is outside of the pack, if I then have this UMap, if I launch this UMap and travel to it, if none of the files exist, so if I delete all of these files right here, if they don't exist, because it has the game path, right? And even if it doesn't, even if it just has content, it still works. But um, what's going to happen is we're going to travel to the pack files, basically. So that is how the hybrid modding works, a hybrid file loading. We load this file that then loads the pack files. And you wonder, why the hell would you do that? Why wouldn't you have everything inside of the pack? Well, what if you want to have an external tool where you manage all of your mods, right, like packs, and that lets you basically remove or add references to the mods that you already have installed, or enable or disable mods. You can do it, for instance, this way. And I'll show you a good example of it in a second here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of the files that are not the UMAP files. So all of these contain, all of these are with the UMAP here. So let's go to the last one. Let's delete these files. Okay, so now when we boot the game up the next time here, so when oh yeah, I think it's done. Yeah, so it's already packaged up. You can see it right here. We're gonna take this, we're gonna cut it, and we're gonna paste that into packs, into this folder. So now what's gonna happen is when we launch this, the game, we're gonna use my own DLL mod that scans the content folder for UMAPs, right? And so my tool is going to find these UMAPs, list them for you, and when you travel to them, it's going to pull all the data, all the assets out of the pack. So you get the speed of the pack, but you get the accessibility that you can basically handle the packs outside of a pack. So let's demonstrate that. I know this is confusing, but maybe it's just me that I'm kind of bad at explaining it. It's a weird method, but it's great. So let me show you. If you have my plugin mod installed for loading custom maps, just click right Alt, go to Maps and Levels, Custom Map, and then Scan for Maps. Now this is scanning the content folder, and so that's why we can list these. Now if I travel to Fantasy Factory, what you'll see here is, boom, look at this. And we are inside of the map. So our UMAP pulled all the files out of the pack, and it loads everything from the pack. And we get the speed of having a pack file, and we get the size of having it, like the bonus of having it be very small, like a third of the size, less than half, because it is compressed. So this is hybrid modding. It's a very strange way of modding, but oh, he didn't grind. That's crazy. It's a very strange way of modding, but it's awesome. So I guess that's it for today. That is patch pack modding and hybrid file loading. And the hybrid file loading is really mostly something that's going to be used for games like fighting games where you want to make your own arenas, right? Or skateboarding or BMX or snowboarding games where you want to make custom maps. That is where this will shine. So, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Peace.